Richard Burdell is now suffering from ALS, more commonly known as Lou Gehrig's disease. Please join Richard's friends John and Val of New Shoes, Cooler, the Tom Grant Band, and an all-star cast on December 14th at Starry Night for a benefit honoring Richard Burdell.
Richard Burdell was born August 1st in 1949 in Seattle, Washington, to Lois and Charles Burdell. He is the youngest of three children, having an older brother and sister, Charles and Cindy Burdell. Richard is regarded as one of the Northwest's most talented songwriters and trumpet players. In 1984, Richard was found to have ALS, a disease that had taken his mother's life just 10 years before. Here, Richard is doing two of his most favorite things, soloing with Upeppo in 1977 and water skiing in 1984. Cindy, Richard's sister, shares some of the family photos and an insight to the private years of Richard's life.
This is a picture of the three of us. Richard looks like he's about 2 years old there, crying, of course, and perfect Cindy and mischievous Charlie, the older brother. That was in Kirkland, Washington. We lived there for until about these ages, 3, 5, and 7. Then we moved over to Mercer Island, Washington, which is a suburb of Seattle. This is a picture of Mom with the 3 kids and the dog, Rusty, in front of our house on Mercer Island, which was on the shores of Lake Washington. Very rustic. It was, kind of dirt everywhere. This is a picture of Mom and Dad and Grandma, our mother's mother, and the 3 kids, and we're making faces. It's somebody's birthday. It's probably Richard's birthday, and that's Uncle Jim. Uncle Jim used to leave silver dollars under our plates at dinner. We thought he was just great. We thought he was fantastic. Here's a picture at the house on Mercer Island with us. Obviously it's snowing, and Charlie's pulling Richard in his little 1950s snowsuit. And, again, a nice house, but real rustic. Mercer Island at that, it's a Beaverton of Seattle now, but it used to be kind of a country type place where people went to live. And this is the 3 kids getting ready for bed in Shorewood. We lived in these apartments on Mercer Island until they found a house to live in. This is a picture of our mother and her parents and Richard on the front steps of their house in Seattle. They moved out from Nebraska to be by my mother and played an integral role in our family until they died pretty close together. Richard was in the 3rd grade when they died. And this is Richard and Charlie on Christmas Day playing sort of a home version of foosball, which of course was fun for them. This is a picture of our dad in front of the house with our dog Rufus. And Rufus was a mean dog, and he used to bite people, and our dad thought it was funny to let him out when friends came over because he wanted to keep people away from the house. This one's not too good. Here's a picture of Mom and Richard, or Dick as he was known then, somewhere between San Francisco and Seattle. My mom took me and Dick on a big car trip. And this is Dick and Cindy in Hawaii. He was in 3rd grade, I was in 5th, and Mom got us all spiffed up for a little picture on the lanai. We went to Oahu. Here's a picture of Dick on a ferry in Seattle. Don't know the surrounding information about that, but another picture of Hawaii here with our beach boy. Our parents had a holiday to themselves and had us in the care of that beach boy. He was real nice. Charlie and Richard fooling around in a swimming pool. San Francisco, we used to go down there with our parents when Dad had business. Here's a summer picture of the house. There were 7 poplar trees in front of the house that were very beautiful and provided a lot of shade. The house looked west across the lake. It was a beautiful setting. You know, we sort of took it for granted as kids. That's how come we all became good water skiers and had a boat. We had a great time. And, you know, we did take it for granted. We didn't realize how lucky we were to live there. I used to complain to my dad about not having a summer home because all our friends had summer homes. He just laughed at me. Now, this is Richard's graduation day from Menlo High School. In 9th grade, he was sent by our parents down to a private boys' school in Menlo Park, California. He was a bit of an outlaw in school, and they thought he'd be better off at a place where he wouldn't be so distracted by music. So they sent him to a school that had no musical training at all, and he just kind of had to make his own way, and eventually conned them into getting him an electric organ, and he started a band and used to play at colleges around town. This is a little bit out of order. That's Dad and Dick, and in front of the house, you'll notice Dick has a lapel-less jacket on in that picture.
Mod.
Yeah, it was very mod, yes. Remember that? The Beatles or something started that?
Yeah, so how old was Richard?
Well, I think he looks like he's about in 3rd grade in that picture. That was obviously his school picture. And he was a ladies' man from that moment to this. He still is. He had the girls all running around in circles after him. And this is a picture of him in Sun Valley. We went to Sun Valley. I was in high school. He was in junior high, I guess. And, you know, we had a great time. We went there a few times with the family, and, you know, notice his haircut. See, they all had that kind of haircut in those days. That must have been about 67 or 8.
Yeah.
Now, this was taken in 1972, I believe. Richard's playing in some gig, and I made that jacket for him. He picked out the material himself. Believe it or not, it was in at that time. It looks pretty bad now, but this is a picture of the house sort of looking sideways. You know, before we were looking straight out at the poplar trees, and we had a big snow that year.
Where was this again?
Mercer Island, Washington, outside of Seattle. It was an unusual snow, so Mom took this picture of the patio and the trees, and we've always thought it was really pretty. 72 that was. And here's a picture of our mother, who she was very gracious and kind and kind of overbearing. But she was pretty nice to us. We liked her pretty much. And then our dad, who was kind of a wacky, iconoclastic guy. He's a lawyer and always considered to be very liberal and good trial lawyer. Very good at speaking.
Looks like he has a bit of the clown in him.
Yeah, he has a bit of the clown in him. I don't know when he had those pictures taken, but those glasses would be pretty popular today, wouldn't they?
Yeah. How long ago was this?
That was probably in about 69, because Dad died in 73, and I sort of remember that haircut he got. He decided to get himself a flat top once. It didn't work out too well, so it's growing out. This is all 3 of our favorite pictures taken in about 76. And
That's Charlie.
yeah, we were at the baptism of Charlie's youngest daughter, Laura, and we all happened to be together, so we had that picture taken. These pictures, I think, are from around the same time, 76. Here's a picture of Richard with a beard, holding a beer, I think. Obviously softball time. That's Frank Griffith there. He used to play in Cruise Control, and I don't know the other 2 people. But, you know, having a beer. Here's a picture of Richard and Christina on one of their ski trips to eastern Oregon. Christina, that was Richard's girlfriend for about 3 years, and they used to go with a bunch of their friends over to Prineville for a week or so every summer in the late 70s and early 80s and go water skiing. Water skiing was very important to Richard. He was very good at it and really enjoyed doing it. This is his favorite picture. A friend of his took it over in Prineville. It's his favorite because of how big this spray is. That the rooster.
This is Richard playing with cruise control in 1980.
These are 3 pictures that are related to cruise control.
Bruce Carter.
Yeah, Todd Carver, Richard, and isn't that Lester?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's Lester. So that was a promotional picture for the band.
Mm-hmm.
And here's a picture of him. Phil Baker's in it by then. Calvin's in it. Todd. Don't know. And that's Richard with his beard again. But by this time they have their funny logo with the night lights behind it. And this is a particularly good shot, I think, to display the first cruise control's t-shirt. It's a beautiful woman they've got there. Here's a picture of Richard playing the trumpet. Actually, it might be the flugelhorn. And then these are a series of pictures taken around the time when Richard and Todd Carver were starting up the Silent Treatment band, which is the band that went on to make the album and the video. And here's a picture of Richard in a t-shirt I gave him from France. This is a real good picture, I think, of Todd, and Richard. Richard holding his little Casio tone. I like that picture of the two of them. And there's Richard taking a little break during a recording session, I'm sure. Here's a picture of Richard and Todd and Kit Carlson, who was the lead singer of Silent Treatment. It looks like they might be celebrating something. Richard looks like a lawyer in that picture, I think. Another picture during recording sessions, having a good time. I don't know how many people know this, but the video was shot underneath the Brooklyn Bridge. They made a sort of a dance hall type place. They built up a dance hall for the video. And we've got more pictures of this, but this is a couple pictures of Richard and Kit waiting on the sidelines to do the video. It took a lot of time to shoot it, obviously. This is a picture of Richard and I believe one of the technicians. I'm not really sure. He might have been the director of the video. After Richard found out he was sick, he went to Mexico. We have some friends who have a house in Mazatlan, and they let him go down there. He went by himself. And this is the woman whose husband sort of showed Richard around and helped him out. And then he went ski parachuting. He tried that, and it was kind of hard for him because he was sick, but these are the people that helped him do it, and so that's a picture of him having some fun even though he found out he was sick. That's a picture of us. That's Charlie, my older brother, and me, and Charlie's wife Linda, and Richard when we went to the zoo. It was really hot that day.
He's cruising.
Yeah, he's cruising, as always. And I brought this. It's not a picture of our family, but this is Lou Gehrig, and this is Babe Ruth. And it's sort of a funny shot, and since it is Lou Gehrig's disease that Richard had, I just thought maybe somebody would like to see a picture of Lou Gehrig. It's sort of a cute picture of the two of them. This is a picture of our family when we went to Hawaii in about 1958, and I brought this specifically to show that Richard had a ukulele in his hand. He was interested in music from the day he was born, and he used to sing all the time around the house, constantly, and he taught me to harmonize. He would say, okay, now you sing this tune, and he'd play a little melody for me, and then he'd harmonize along. Much younger than this. He used to do it all the time. Our dad played the piano and was real musical, but I think Richard was just born with his musical ability and constant source of music. I think his first band, he was in the 8th grade, and he played the trumpet, and a friend played the saxophone, and they had a little drummer, and I think Wild Weekend was their first song that they ever played, you know, da 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 da. This is a picture of Richard and some of his college friends, many of whom are going to be at the benefit. This is Richard here with the long hair. And this is Joe Hansen, or we used to call him Monty Montana because he was from Montana. This is Joe Haber, who lives in Portland still and is a good friend, and this woman's name is Yock. That's what I know her as. I don't know her whole name, and I don't know these two people. And this is Chip Peer, who is a very good friend of Richard's, who's an architect in San Francisco, and he's going to come up for the benefit. Good group of people that stuck together through lots of trials, and these people live far and wide, but they're going to come for the benefit. Notice Richard's very wide leg pants here. This is early 70s, long hair. They all went to school at Forest Grove for their first year of college, and most of them transferred from there somewhere. Richard went to Portland State. He graduated in music from Portland State in 1974. Now, this is a picture taken at our ancestral homeland again, in the yard in the front, and Richard brought a bunch of his friends up, probably for, in fact, I'm sure it was for Seafair, which is our hydroplane race thing that we still have in Seattle. This is Glenn Hallstrom, who's a good friend and plays the piano. I'm sure everybody knows Glenn. Richard again with his long hair, and our dog, Joe. And this is a guy named Jim Orenstein, who now is known as Jim Reeves, who lives in California and is a good friend. I think he'll be up for the benefit. William Thomas, he's playing for the benefit. Great friend and has helped us out a lot. This is Joe Hansen again, who was in that other picture, and the woman that he was with at the time, whose name is unknown to me. This is Yock again, and this is the woman who was my partner in my bookstore, Sally Carley, and this is Chip Peer again. Again, similar people to her in the other picture. And they all came up to watch the hydroplane races and have a great time. So this is a picture that Richard cherishes, because these are all really good friends. This is a picture taken of Richard and Woody Shaw. In 1975, Richard went back to Bloomington, Indiana to study graduate work in trumpet, jazz trumpet. And he did some work with a lot of the teachers there. And at the time, I think he had an opportunity to have 2 different seminars with Woody Shaw. He came and gave seminars that lasted 2 or 3 days. So this is a pretty exciting thing to have a picture of him playing with the great Woody Shaw. I went and saw Woody Shaw a few times in Seattle, and I introduced myself, and he knew who Dick Burdell was and was always really nice to me because I was his sister. This house is over in Forest Grove, I believe, but this picture was taken relatively recently, probably 83, 82, because I recognized the jacket. This is a picture of Richard and his niece Katie. Let's see, I think this was about 1979. Home in the ancestral home where our older brother Charlie lived for quite a while. This is Richard in the funny baseball cap, and this is Charlie, and this is me, and we've got our 3 nieces. These are Charlie's 3 daughters, who are all very dear to both Richard and me. They come down and visit a lot. Katie, Sarah, and Laura.
I know
and that's
that guy.
Richard and
That's
Mazaka.
Berserker.
Yeah, right. I don't know. That's Richard in his house over in Northeast Portland, looking kind of weathered, I think, is a nice way of putting it.
Is this Mom again?
That's Mom, yeah, in her little Chinese outfit that she had. We were at Ricky's in Palo Alto. My dad had a case down there, and we spent about 3 or 4 weeks down there just sunning ourselves. We had a good time. And that's Joe, the Newfoundland dog. Dad always wanted Joe to go swimming because he thought Newfoundlands were supposed to be good at swimming, but it turned out they were afraid of the water and used to save drowning people because they were so frightened of the water, not because they liked swimming. And here's a few more pictures of him. I think these were taken while he was in Indiana, but I'm not positive. Just, nice shots of Richard in his...
In the woods.
In his own self, yeah, in the woods. His favorite thing is nature in the woods now. And I think it always has been real important to him. I think
Great.
that's it.
That'll make a real nice piece.
Do you think?
Sure.